All right, welcome to another Sports Injury Central Pro Football Doc podcast live. We will take questions. It's 11 a.m. Pacific time Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Lots to talk about on this Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo Day to everybody. And we got our Phillies guy here represented.
Yes.
Taylor, and Doug's here in the room and in the background as well here. So let's have at it for the Cinco de Mayo podcast.
Do you have any special stories, I guess?
Actually, yes. And I mean, I guess we should be doing this with a margarita, but
I'm about to say a sombrero or something. Yeah.
It's 11 a.m., but it's or a taco salad like Trump. No, I'm not going to go there. We live in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
Big Mexican Hispanic influence.
Absolutely.
Right? It's almost a first language, if not second language, and
absolutely
lots of great taco shops and food.
Fish tacos is a big thing around here. Yeah.
Fish tacos, Rubio started here.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, the Rubio's founder. Anyways, lots going on. Cinco de Mayo is huge in San Diego. It's gotten bigger across the country, I think. But San Diego, it's huge. It's a big San Diego holiday. Margaritas. I guess we should have one. Tajin rim, not salt.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, there you go, Doc. You're impressed with me a little. Tajin, there you
go. Not for me. It's 11 o'clock.
Yes.
Or whatever. But Cinco de Mayo actually has a different meaning for me. Not to try and get too deep. I always call it, and some people in San Diego call it Cinco de Drinko, right?
Yep.
But me and some of my friends, we always call it Cinco Cinco. And Cinco Cinco is actually for great friend Junior Seau. He used to claim this as his day. We would celebrate Cinco Cinco 55. He would celebrate this honestly harder than his birthday in January. And it's
the off season too, right? So it's a good time, right?
Yeah. And I try and put out of my mind, the pause you heard is that unfortunately I can't help but remember the anniversary of his death. It's very close to Cinco Cinco.
Mm-hmm.
But I much prefer to remember Cinco Cinco or his birthday than that anniversary. So we'll have to we might do something, even if it's virtually with friends.
Mm-hmm.
Too many kid things. My wife's still in Florida with my daughter.
So you can have a big party then with friends. Yeah.
No, the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Big cheer competition thing, the big, huge, whatever.
It's like it's a different city every week she's going to, right? Doing well
this
on that.
This is the really big one.
Yeah.
But, it's, there's a category out there called sports travel in terms of the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not travel to go see the Green Bay Packers. It's not travel to the Super Bowl. It's travel for kids.
Your children,
sports.
Their sports.
She was there for a week in Orlando with park hopper passes at Disney World and this, that, the other. And she competed, like what she does is unbelievable. For 2 minutes, one time, didn't make it to the next round and was done.
And then you're done
for a week.
Yeah.
My son's funny. He's like, she's there. She goes all that way for a week for 2 minutes. I go, we go to a baseball tournament for you, and you're not actually running or doing something for less than 2 minutes.
Right. It's even less than that. Yeah.
It's 3 at bat.
It's seconds, not minutes. Yeah.
Cumulatively, you're not even physical.
That's funny. That's interesting.
And, but he won his playoff game that we had. Anyways, so Cinco de Mayo to me is always Cinco Cinco Day. Celebrate Junior Seau's adopted birthday and holiday, and so maybe we'll do a margarita later.
Yeah, maybe a couple. Here, let's. I have a list of things I want to talk to you about, Doc. Jumping just quick. Tragic situation happened at the PNC Park this weekend. At the Pirates game, McCutcheon hit a 2-run double to take the lead, and a fan was ejected from his seats in some way. Tell me your thoughts, just like in a medical perspective, what you saw, how many feet it was to, and just what you.
Well. Let me ask this question to the listeners or viewers. Should we have handled this differently? Taylor, you and the gang brought it to my attention. Admittedly, I think I was at another baseball game, so it was a little bit late in seeing it, so it wasn't within seconds. But maybe I regret the way that we handle it, but I'll ask you guys. I kind of stayed quiet on it because it didn't look that good, and he was initially in critical condition.
Mhm.
Now that he's more stable,
Elevated, condition, Mhm.
maybe it's better to talk about. I didn't want to talk about it because I didn't want to ambulance chase.
Mhm.
Now you say, what's the difference between that and Damar Hamlin?
I was going to bring that up. Yeah,
we weren't ambulance chasing in Damar Hamlin. We were giving perspective.
Mhm.
Damar Hamlin is a public figure on an NFL broadcasted game. This was an unfortunate accident of a fan, and that fan undoubtedly has family members and this, that, the other. And is it really fair to go into depth and analyzing a random person who wasn't necessarily trying? You know, if you're on TV regularly, it's probably fair game. And this is the same argument we've had about college kids. Prior to NIL, I think we were a lot more reluctant
or hesitant,
to analyze injuries in college. But now with NIL, they're paid professionals, and there's an expectation, less so. So I didn't want to do it because he was a fan. I didn't want to do it because it looked serious. But now that he's okay, I guess we can talk about it a little bit.
Mhm.
From the get-go, it did not look like he was trying to kill himself. I think he tried to grab at the rail,
Mhm.
and then he tumbled.
He just got up too quickly and just kind of ejected forward.
Now the story's out. He was, I guess, drunk. And that's the other thing. The way he tumbled, it looked like he was a little bit limp.
You said like ragdoll. Yeah.
Which to me indicated he probably was drunk. But I didn't want to put that on him either, right? I don't want to put that on a fan that he's drunk and this was an accident, and meanwhile he's in serious or critical condition at the hospital.
Right.
I didn't want to put that on him. But my feeling was he was drunk and it was an inadvertent tumble. But being drunk, actually, even though it was serious, I saw a lot of people say, you know, he's dead. Believe it or not, 21 feet is not dead.
That's the first thing you said. 21 broken bones. You said what? 40, 50?
50 feet.
Yeah, they have an issue. Yeah.
Yeah. You're dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
21 feet is serious, but not death.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, do I really want to get so morbid with that? So we didn't make a video. We didn't do anything. But what we thought has actually come true. He was drunk. And because he was drunk and he ragdolled, it makes it better. So some of you may not remember this, or maybe on editing, we're live right now, we can cut it in.
Mm-hmm.
The famous X Games Jake Brown, Big Air.
And you were there because you were the doctor of X Games.
I was there in LA.
Right.
Pin drop after he fell. I was there within feet of him. And if you had asked me when he hit the ramp, dead or walks away, I would have said dead. He walked away, and part of it is he ragdolled. And you look at the video, we'll maybe cut in. I mean, he was launched almost 50 feet in the air.
That would look bad.
But he ragdolled, which distributed the force. And, you know, obviously drunk driving is to be taken very seriously. But how many times have we heard a story about the drunk driver walked away, but everyone else in his car or the other car died?
Mm-hmm.
That's the ragdoll effect. You get bruised and you're distributing the forces. That guy ragdolled and it helped him. So although it was serious, he did break his neck. I think he's going to be okay, thankfully. And that's the only reason we're talking about it now. But I'd love to hear in comments from you guys if you think we should have addressed that in real time or let it go. At the moment, I chose to let it go. Now, if it were a player, we would have been all in, right? I mean, this was a random fan, and I didn't want to, because I thought it was initially serious, and I didn't want to impugn drunkenness on him
or blame it for that,
for that. So I don't know, but I guess I feel good that we don't want to be ambulance chasing. But Damar Hamlin was totally different.
Yeah,
everyone saw it, and it was live TV, and it was a player. And if we're initially,
it's a medical emergency. Yeah.
Initially, remember, we all had a call. Said, should we address this? And my initial reaction was no, because it's really serious. But then I thought about it and I said, if we don't address Damar Hamlin, then what are we doing here at Sports Injury Central? Right? Here's a sports injury.
Medical emergency. Yeah.
And I think if you go back and replay that, we're proud of the way that we handled it. We added a lot to the conversation, I feel like, by telling people best place to be other than in an emergency room. We added to it by saying there's a reason the ambulance stays on the field, because you've got 20 medical personnel as opposed to driving off with one attendant in the back on an emergency fashion, about why the game wasn't going to restart because no one can unsee CPR. And then we actually in real time brought up the suggestion of commotio cordis,
correct,
which is a blow to the chest setting off the heart issue, which is turned out to be correct. And as a result of that, I'm proud to say, for Damar Hamlin's efforts and others, Doug's got a kid in La Jolla Youth Baseball now. Doug, as a result of Damar Hamlin, we have AED devices,
correct,
on at the snack shack and at the faraway fields, because a little kid getting hit in the chest with a ball could set off
replicate those symptoms. Yeah.
Cordis. It's probably not a bad idea for the grandparents that are there. Anyway,
yes,
cheering on the
there you go.
games,
Yeah,
so
it's helpful for everybody. Yeah.
So good on Damar Hamlin and so forth. So that was just between Damar Hamlin and the random fan. But I'd love to hear the comments. If people want us to jump in and aren't going to think of us as ambulance chasers, I'll do the random fan. We've done some videos before when it's,
Biden fighting off his bike,
well, Biden's a public
that's
figure.
what I say. You can jump on,
him.
on that. And that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
He's a public figure. I think that's very fair to do analysis on the bike. And
the Trump shooting in the ear. I think we didn't do something, but well, here's my take on this whole, Doc. I think it's always a fine line for me. Like when I send you these videos all the time, I'm like, should he do something? But like, there's a certain point, like when this stuff happens and more serious, you're the only person that's probably qualified. Like everybody else, you saw the Damar Hamlin thing when they were in Sports Center and it was like them sitting around talking about it. They were just passing the silence, trying to make sure everybody was comfortable. You can go and say the commotio cordis. You can say all these words that people don't know and make it,
also the process.
Right.
And
You've been there.
One of the big things I said during that is when they were trying to restart the game, I said, I hope to God they restart this football game.
Because that would mean,
and people thought that was a little bit callous.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is I don't see how there's any way that they could restart that football game without knowing in the background that Damar Hamlin was fine. Because you can't unsee CPR on your friend or teammate or opponent. Every football player has seen a guy go off on a spine board. You don't like restarting the game after that, but you do, because thankfully we have all seen, and even as fans, that people are okay afterwards, the vast majority of the time. But every football player has seen a teammate or opponent go off on a spine board. No football player, and probably very few, if any of you in this audience, has seen CPR performed on somebody. It's something you can't unsee. And that's why I was like, there's no way they restart this game without there being some whisper in the background that he's fine. And without that, that game wasn't going to be played, period. And that's why I rooted for it. So I think we added something to it. As far as the Biden thing, just to clarify, when he fell off his bike, my whole thing wasn't a criticism of age. I was just like, thank God he didn't break his hip.
You're like, that would be worrisome if that happened. Yeah.
Well, I mean, people in their 70s, medically, if you break your hip, it's a 50% chance that you end up passing away in the next 6 months. So I was just saying he fell off the bike, but thankfully he didn't break his hip when he did, right? And I was just making a neutral comment. Trump, we didn't do a lot. I was in Hawaii.
That one, I was like, I feel like we were worried about like maybe people saying stuff, but I always, the thing I always think is like, if I was going to ask anybody a question about what was going to happen, and you had a certain take on that too, the way he was positioned, so
really simple, but things get very, look, I'm not really political. I welcome anyone's political ideology, but let me just say this. I think if you win the Super Bowl, I don't care who the president is, you should go to the White House.
Respecting the office.
Respecting the office.
Right.
And by the way, I was not for let's go Brandon. I don't like the idea of saying F Joe Biden. So, but anyways, regardless of that, the Trump thing that we got said, oh, let's not go there because it was too polarizing. All I was saying is, boy, how lucky for him to get hit in the ear and walk away. It had to, and where the shooter was from, he had to have his head turned that way. Because how do you get hit in the ear without it going through your brain, unless it's
You're at a certain
parallel
angle
to your face, right? And the glancing blow, and that's what it seems to have turned out. And that's just, we didn't even write anything on it. I don't know how we got off in this tangent. I think you have a better question for me.
Yeah.
A more fun question. Let's not get off this political.
All right, I have a next one. Just so yeah, because go to the injury rundowns for a couple sports in a little bit. Just another topic I wanted to talk to you about last week was Bill Belichick in his situation.
So
yeah.
you're saving the gorilla question.
Oh yes, that was my next thing.
We'll go at the end. I was dumb as a pillion on a gorilla.
I need you to like formulate your take in your brain. Yeah.
So that's the teaser.
Yes.
Gorilla, 100 men.
100 men versus one gorilla, the medical perspective. Yeah.
Central analysis.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. We've got it here.
All right. Yeah. But just before we do that, just I was going to talk to you about so the Bill Belichick interview from CBS came out. You saw Jordan Hudson kind of saying yes or no to topics, during the interview. There's been so many different stories coming out. I guess I just need to hear your thoughts. You're seeing Charles Barkley doing a public PSA, like, hey, maybe I should check on my friend. I don't know if it's that serious. You see a lot of people defending the situation, saying, she's helping him getting through his day, daily, organizational stuff. And then you have some people like Ryan Clark, who you saw just walked out on SportsCenter after they were talking about it, maybe in a negative light. It's just different people have their own opinions on it. Just your thoughts on that.
I thought it was interesting, Charles Barkley. I didn't see the Ryan Clark, but I did see the Charles Barkley. And you and I were at the Super Bowl, and I raised my eyebrows with, wait, there is an appearance that Jordan Hudson.
She sent something out that she wasn't going to be there, but Bill will be, or something. It was, yeah.
I think that was some of her coming out already. That's fine.
Yeah.
I thought Barkley's comments were interesting. Like, he's led with, I never comment on this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yet I'm really worried about Bill and I should call him. I mean, I was like, oh, interesting. If you're worried, then just, I don't know.
Not say that maybe. Yeah. Out loud.
Look, to each his own. I hope he's happy. I don't have anything, but I just thought it was interesting that a guy for years, decades, I mean, I'm just surprised he didn't go with, I'm here to talk about the book and refocus it.
Right.
And if they kept asking, he could have easily said, we're on to Cleveland, right?
Yeah, that's what he's been doing this for years. Yeah, deflecting. And so
he easily could have said, Tony, I guess is the guy's name. Tony, I don't think how we met is that interesting. Besides, it's already been out there that we met on an airplane. And move on.
Right.
And
don't get mad or stuck on it.
Redirect.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, so look, when something doesn't make sense, all I will say is this. I'm not going to speculate about this, that, the other. When something doesn't make sense from the outside, what do I always say? It does from the inside.
We don't have all the facts on the outside. Yeah, right.
There's a reason why this was a hot button. There's a reason for the relationship. There's a reason for this, that, the other. It all makes sense in the end. But right now, there's a missing piece out there. So I think it's interesting. Coach Belichick, look, he's not doing anything wrong. It's not illegal.
49-year age gap is not illegal.
I mean, is it different? Look, to me, it's not even about the age gap. Here's what I'll say. The age gap makes it more eyebrow raising. I get it.
Like more people can target it or so, yeah.
But
comments.
What makes it strange to me is if you're a head coach, name the next closest precedent for a wife or girlfriend playing this role. Okay. Nick Saban's wife was very beloved by players. And okay, name a wife, Doug, you can participate too. Often. Wife or girlfriend that's in the forefront in the pro football or even college football in the coaching world. Name the one that's most out there. Who's second place to Jennifer Hudson Was that her name?
Oh, Jordan Hudson.
That's the same.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry. Who's second place to this as a precedent? What's that?
Stafford.
Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
Not bad.
That's a good choice.
Not bad. Not a coach, but okay. She's out there. She has a public persona.
Is this girl? Can I say girlfriend too?
Sure.
Like Swift and Kelsey thing, right? Doesn't she's more out there?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's take yours.
Yeah.
And let's take your Matthew Stafford.
Okay.
Taylor Swift. She's out there because she's Taylor Swift.
And she's bigger already. Yeah.
She may have been seen walking into a game with Travis Kelce. He may have kissed her post game. Nothing unusual from any other wife or girlfriend.
Right.
If you compare what Brittany Mahomes has done with Patrick Mahomes on the sideline, say hello.
It's normal.
Brittany Mahomes has done way more than Taylor Swift. So
it's true.
I don't think Taylor Swift, it's the TV cameras that, because it's Taylor Swift,
she has to be focused
Swift
on. Yeah.
Hasn't done anything
over the top than what she's already doing. Yeah.
Than any other girlfriend has ever done.
Okay.
Attended a game, seen kissing the boyfriend afterwards, or holding him, normal stuff.
She's not taken away from him or the game, or
not sitting there at an interview and interjecting, or whatever, or on the field during a practice, right, or that spring game. So I don't see that. I don't think that's a comparison. Taylor Swift. Matt Stafford. Well, there's one difference. She is employed.
She's out
to be there for Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
She's been the wife for over a decade.
Yeah, it's been years.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And she's a little outspoken. This makes it a little different. But she's outspoken on her own. She has her own podcast.
She's doing her own Twitter podcast.
Sitting in on Matt Stafford's interview chiming, right? She's allowed to be her own person.
Okay.
So I would even say that one is really not comparable.
What are you throwing into the ring?
So I brought up Nick Saban's wife.
Who did a good job,
But everyone was beloved. She was the wife, the first lady role. Come to the house, we're this. Everyone loves her. I'm not saying she baked cookies, but the baked
she was the bake,
role, this, that, the other. That's not interfering in a press conference or an interview or running the life. And I don't even begrudge her if she's being pseudo agent or protector.
Yeah, she has a job title, so in theory, what she did was part of her job. Because if she gave a list to an interviewer, these are the things we don't talk about, and then they talk about it, it is her job title to tell them not to, maybe. But I don't know. It's just hard for her to have that title and the girlfriend title. It kind of mixes.
I'd love to hear what happened leading up to that.
Yeah,
because it did look very harsh. So we said, we're told you we're not talking.
Yeah.
As opposed to, now, if it was the 7th time she's had to interrupt,
then it looks like why she's so mad. It makes sense,
But I don't know. So there's more color to it. When you say job, I don't know if it's official.
It's true.
Job.
Yeah.
The other thing is, let's say you have the job. I don't begrudge her from being seen on a spring game filming something if she's in charge of something with the filming or the presentation. But can you wear a UNC tracksuit?
Yeah, you're the first person that said to me when you saw that video when she wore that, flowing overcoat jacket kind of thing. She was.
I don't know fashion, but that seemed like Paris runway couture.
It did. It was eye popping. Like, this is me. Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, look, I don't begrudge her. She's wore some revealing things on a runway appearance. Sorry, runway. A celebrity, like a step and repeat photo shoot.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
The red carpet kind of like. Yeah.
Okay, you're supposed to wear. You want to wear fancy stuff.
SB stuff like that. She was doing. Yeah.
I don't begrudge you that.
Right.
But this was a football field. I mean, I don't know. It's just brought attention.
It seems like a lot of stuff she does is kind of like trying to tease people. Like, she wears a lot of like the Atlanta Falcons, like Super Bowl winning, the ones, they're like, they make shirts for both teams when they win, right? So she wears the Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl winning shirt just as like a tease and stuff. So it's like, sometimes I feel like she's purposely doing stuff so we say stuff, but also, like you said, she's just also just maybe being her.
I'm not trying to go off the rails.
Yeah.
I know there's more to the story. I hope Barkley gets to the bottom of it.
Yes.
I hope everything's fine. Hey, to each his own. I'm just saying there's some interesting fodder. And that's amazing that this is almost the #1 story. My question is, I wonder what Linda has to say about it.
That's your, as a journalistic, maybe that might be the next venture.
Belichick's
Yeah.
longtime
Girlfriend
from before,
hmm
who, you know, I've seen her before. I don't really know her, but she's been around for over.
When you went to the locker room and you saw Edel jockstrap, she was there. Yeah.
After they won the Atlanta
Super
Super Bowl
yeah.
in Houston.
hmm
I was there in the locker room. Yes, that's when I got the picture.
The famous chick. Yeah.
Linda was there.
Okay.
By Bill's locker.
And that's not, like you said, interjecting. That's her. She's
been around a lot.
Yeah.
Anyone who's familiar with the Patriots knows Linda.
She would be at the training ground, or
but not in this way.
Yes,
right?
yeah. I mean, she's not on the field. She's not on the field, probably. Yeah.
What Linda had done with girlfriend role is no different than with a lot of players or coaches. This one just, I don't see a comp. That's my point.
Yeah.
At least we don't think of one. So, anyways.
All right, real quick, I'm just going to talk sick picks. MLB, NBA, we're constantly putting picks out. Our MLB 3 stars are hitting at 75%. We actually had 2 out of our 3 yesterday, and the percentage went down somehow. So we're doing that good.
You're terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yes.
You're only 2 out of 3.
It was like 78 before, and then it dropped to 75. Man.
You're ruining the percentage.
Yes.
No, the way I look at it is look, to each his own. Look, I watch a lot of Padres baseball because of my son. I don't do that. We do the injury analysis. That's all I do. You guys have the algorithm. You guys are doing great on picks. Look, I get it. We've been primarily football. We have our solid track record on football. But if you want some fun, don't gamble away your rent money ever. But if you're looking
be smart
for fun, you guys have been hot. Sports Injury Central's been hot. Some fun action on the side. If you're not a baseball expert and don't have the time to analyze it, that's what we're here for, to help you out taking advantage of injuries. And if you notice, we've been relatively silent now in the NBA playoffs. Why? Each next round, the teams are all healthier and healthier. And our picks are based on injury advantages. Unreported, unknown injury advantages. And if those are indeed a factor, then already in the playoffs, you're whittling down the injury advantages. But by the second round, the next round, there's fewer because the least healthy teams indeed have been knocked out.
Like the Bucks and Lillard, they are gone now.
Bucks and Lillard, yes, they're gone.
Go on, sorry.
Yeah, so they go to sicscore.com or the X Twitter handle. They've got some specials. We're not trying to induce you to gamble. If you're trying to do stuff anyways and want some more informed information, give it a try.
All right, Doc, right before we go to the rundown, I have a couple players to talk about, including Trout, Tatis, a couple hockey players as well. You need to give me your thoughts on 100 human beings versus 1 silverback gorilla. It's a question that was posed on Twitter less than a week ago, and it had millions of views, comments and stuff. We've had our guys from Barstool commented on it and multiple podcasts. I just never heard a medical perspective. So I would like to ask you, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll do some analysis here. Okay. One I saw just before we got on this podcast, there's something out there that can you swim from Alcatraz without hypothermia or getting eaten by sharks? I think Clay Travis.
Or catching the bends. That's another key part too.
Catching the bends.
You know, like going too deep and then you have to come up too quick.
You're going to go that deep, that long?
Yeah, I don't, maybe.
You're not going to get the bends. That says that. And there's a poll out there.
Yeah.
Clay Travis do it. Look, my first question, my answer.
Have you been to Alcatraz before?
Not in that way.
I know that.
No,
but you visited.
My son's actually going next week.
Oh, that's awesome. I visited multiple times. Yeah.
6th grade trip. Their school's going. They have to pay extra. They're going up to Sacramento.
I was about to say they're all the way
San
up there.
Francisco, and there's a trip to Alcatraz.
So they're doing the Capitol building, going down and doing a bunch.
Amazingly, he's excited to go, and right now he's going to miss a playoff game.
Ooh.
But
yeah,
it is what it is. my first question on that is,
Mm.
can he do it or not? I don't know how good of a swimmer he is. That's one factor. And I don't know the time of year and how cold the water is going to be. That's another factor.
Yes, definitely.
The current at the time is a factor. But another big factor is wetsuit or no wetsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're in your regular clothes,
you're done. Yeah. Bye-bye. Yeah.
Wetsuit, not only because of hypothermia, but wetsuits, and anyone who's been in wetsuit knows this, wetsuit makes you buoyant.
Mm-hmm.
Huge difference maker. So to me, this is like, what happens when a guy gets hit this way? No.
You need more details. Yeah.
So let's go back to silverback gorilla against 100 humans.
Right.
I'm assuming it's a very healthy
top of the line gorilla. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Who are the 100 men?
That's a question for you. Is it 100 people? I'm also, first off, a couple of them need to be bait. I need to throw a couple people out there. Yeah.
Is it 100 Navy SEALs? I'm on the Navy SEALs.
Okay.
All right. I'm done. 100 average people, 100 people like me.
No. Yeah.
It's not happening. 100 people like me, I'm taking the gorilla.
I like the Navy SEALs one.
I don't have the fortitude to get in there and,
and this is no weapons. This is your hands. So
all my surgeries and whatever. Now, if you said it's 100 of you, and if you lose, the gorilla's attacking your family, maybe that's
you have a motivation.
But even me, I'm well over the hill now. No, but is it 100 Dougs? That might be more interesting. Okay, and is it 100 random people? Or is it 100 people working in concert?
You got to have you working in concert. Yeah.
100 Navy SEAls. I'm on the Navy SEAls.
I agree. I like because they're all coordinated and stuff.
So who are the 100 people is the question.
Yeah.
And okay. So let's look at comp. Sometimes if I go to my fund when I do sports injury analysis, I go to my fund of comps of what I have, what's happened to me and the patients that I've treated in real life and sports situations. And if I haven't seen it, I try and apply it. So if you are the gorilla, Taylor, who are the 100 men? What's the comps? Comparing 100 men to the gorilla. Let's say you're the gorilla or Doug's the gorilla. Who are the 100? Is it 100 3-year-olds, or is it 100 5-year-olds?
I think it has to be a mixture of stuff.
8-year-olds. What is the age group? Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Gorilla as to you or Doug, 100 men as to what? What's the relative? Give me an answer. What do you think it is?
What do you think, Doug?
Is it 5-year-olds? Is it 10-year-olds? Is it 8-year-olds? Is it 3-year-olds? What's the differential? If the differential is 100 2-year-olds, I'm on the gorilla.
Yeah.
If the differential is 100 10-year-olds, I'm on the 110-year-olds.
Yeah.
Right? And also, there's a difference if you attack one at a time. Like if there's 105-year-olds,
okay,
attack me one at a time.
One at a time. Okay, one at a time. Definitely not one at a time. If it's one at a time and any of this stuff, I'll say even the Navy SEALs. If it's Navy SEALs one at a time, that's not going to happen. I need a concert of multiple people that are apt and ready to go. They need to all be not scared. You have to be confident here. Like you need to know you're probably going to die. That's what I'm saying. There needs to be a ring of like bait. I need like 10 to 20 people that maybe I don't like too much, or just like maybe not Navy SEALs because we respect those kind of people, but just like people that's just like
No. And then is this
have to be working in concert? You're right about that though.
Is this UFC fighting? Is this
see? That's what I mean. UFC 100 UFC fighters I think wouldn't win because they're all individualistic. The Navy SEAls, if you have 100 Navy SEAls, they're all working together.
Okay.
You know.
Now, if you're asking me to divide, I'm not trying to be cruel to animals. Don't need the.
We're not actually doing this. No.
We're not doing this.
And they're going to be cruel to us, probably not. You know.
I mean, look, how could 105-year-olds get me or you? Think of it. How could they? If it's 5-year-olds,
it's all at once. All at once.
All at once, and doing what? Holding onto your leg?
They all have to be doing different things, maybe.
No.
Yeah. No, if they all just punching in one, you know.
No. For 105-year-olds, and I'm not promoting this.
I'm
just saying, how would you? What are we doing here with the gorilla? If you are literally gouging eyes,
Mm-hmm.
And even if you're a 5-year-old and you're gouging, I'm not trying to go there, but
Yeah.
gouging eyes of the gorilla, I would imagine that would be furious and get their attention and be a distraction. And I don't know the anatomy. I'm not a vet, but I assume gorillas, they're not humans, but yet, I mean, what else would you attack? Genitals.
Yeah. You're grabbing. You're grabbing. You're right. Yeah.
And then, okay, he's gonna a lot of fury, and then
you shouldn't worry about fighting dirty, Doc. It's for your life. Yeah.
You know, if you got 10 people going gouging eyes and 10 people going genitals, and the rest of the 80 going Mike Tyson and doing this, that, the other.
It's an orchestrated event. You can do it. Yeah.
So my answer is I don't know. It depends. Who are the 100 men?
Yes.
If it's 100 average men, I'm probably taking the gorilla.
I will say one at a time is not going to work. That one at a time, I think the gorilla gets more. And I saw people are doing simulations and stuff, like models and like visual stuff. I saw one that was so funny. It was 1 million people versus 10,000 gorillas. And yes, I watched that video for 10 minutes. Okay. It was just like, it's just too much. I think,
the other thing is, I'm assuming they're saying no weapons.
No weapons. That's the key thing too. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. If, like you said, if it's 100 me's, I don't know what I'm doing with my hands that is going to hurt them at all. Like, the gouging eyes is key. I think that has to happen. I think gouging eyes, you need a pack of people just to gouge eyes because you need to blind him. You need to get him disoriented. He's going to get more mad for sure. But no, like he's talked. The key thing, what you said is working in concert. And
you're sexist.
What did I say?
How do you assume the silverback gorilla is a male?
Oh, I thought they were. I thought the silverbacks were always males.
I don't know.
You're scaring me. Maybe it's not. I don't want to be sexist, so it's like it can be a silverback gorilla woman.
Females?
I don't know that.
You made that assumption.
I'm sorry. I need to look this up.
And by the way, 100 men. Are we saying men and women, or are we saying?
I think we need to do men and women here. Yes.
Well, look, there are Navy SEAls that are women too, so I'm not
exactly. That's what I was saying. Like,
it still depends on what kind of quote human. But anyways, all right. So enough.
It's male. You see, he tried to trip me up here. Okay. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So where are the females?
I don't know.
Goldbacks.
It says mature male, not female. Female gorillas are not referred as silverback, so it would just be a gorilla, a big alpha gorilla. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You should have held your ground.
I should have. I really thought I was right. You scared me there. I thought you knew something.
No, I'm just being random.
Yes.
All right. Let's go through the rundown here. So you got your gorilla question.
All right, Doc. Next one I have. So I'm going to go through baseball real quick. Talk about we had Fernando Tatis got hit on his arm this weekend. Released a video, 6 score. Released a video on your account breaking down the injury. Tell me your thoughts and what you saw and how he's returned already.
Well, you guys did a good job. It was the one Padre game I wasn't watching. I tried to put it on, but we couldn't find it. And as I said, my wife's in Florida.
You're always on it. You're like, Merrill got hurt. You're always watching the Padres. Yeah.
Well, but this wasn't on Fubo or Fubu, whatever.
Kim was not there as my key thing. Yeah.
Apple, this, that.
Yeah.
And we have it, but even my son didn't know how to get it on, so I wasn't watching it. But you guys texted me and sent me the WhatsApp video. And there was a lot of concern about swelling. And thankfully, we were on it real quick, made a video. Swelling does not equate to fracture, especially when that's quick.
How would it look if it was a fracture? How would the swelling look?
Swelling wouldn't come on that quickly.
Okay.
I mean, it's a broken blood vessel hematoma. And that's why I said it's not broken. The way he was hit, it was not broken. And obviously that came out pretty quickly. And then I was asked, when's he going to be back, by some beat reporters. And I was like, I think there's a good chance he plays the same Pirates series. He's not going on IL. So this was the first game, which was Friday.
Right.
So I said, he's got a good chance to play Saturday, Sunday. Turned out he played Saturday and helped them win the game Saturday.
Correct.
The next day. And then I was asked, and this is something that got a laugh out of the beat reporter that texted me, but I was like, easy come, easy go. And there's some truth to the swelling. Easy come, easy go. That's why he was able to play the next day. But also, if you look at Tatis's history, he's played through a lot of stuff. That kid is not soft. Was he 100%? Was he sore? Absolutely.
But he'll play through it. Yeah.
He's able to play through
reckless abandon, but he plays through.
And I do think that it's interesting. And this is just, look, I'm a big fan of the Padres. I don't know AJ Preller personally. Know people who know him. I know lots of people in the Padre organization. I root for them. I respect them. But there is a pattern there if you look at injury stuff. Tatis, no broken arm. They got the news out in game.
They were itching to get that out. Yeah.
Our video beat that report, but they got it out in game. Meanwhile, Jackson Merrill, who's on his way back, maybe
that was my next guy on the list. Yeah. Rehab start today. Yeah.
I was watching that game in real time when I said to my son on that back pick to first base,
he ran the third, yeah,
grabbing his hamstring as he hurt his hamstring. The next day it was announced as a rest day. Nothing to see here.
For a 20-year-old.
For a 20-year-old,
10 days in the season. Yeah.
Whatever. And the day after it's just a tweak and precautionary. And I was like, And then the next day it became
10-day.
Retroactive 10-day IL, which obviously wasn't enough. He's well beyond 10 days now.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
now it's a reasonable time to come back. So that's one of the things that we do that's different. I wasn't banging on the Padres at all. They're doing what they want to do. And this is what most teams do.
Football teams do the same thing.
Teams do the same thing. All teams do it. There's a pattern. We do injury analysis, not injury reporting. That's the fundamental difference. The coach may say this, the team may say this, but we do injury analysis, not injury reporting. And that was the case with Jackson Merrill. That's the case with Tatis. That's the fundamental difference. Now, we may do analysis off of reports and interpret it, but we take what's publicly available by video and injury and give the analysis. It's a big difference. ESPN, Yahoo, you name it, Bleacher, they do injury reporting and they do a great job. We do injury analysis. Fundamental difference.
We didn't get to this one live, but there was a huge injury for the Boston Red Sox. Their first baseman, you saw patellar tendon rupture. Doesn't usually happen too often on the baseball field. Tell me what you saw on the video. We didn't do live as this one, but we got to it later.
Well, that's obviously a horrific injury. It's surgery, and he's out the rest of this year for sure. May not be ready for the start of next year. We'll see. It's a race. But the interesting thing is it was reported that it happened when he hit the bag. He collapsed when he hit the bag. It was his left knee patella tendon. He hurt it on the step before the bag, which made him lunge forward and the right knee not support him. It was a left patella tendon rupture. Horrific injury. And actually, once again, my son, we recently just watched the Red Sox Netflix special that featured Triston Casas a lot. So
he's a character.
My son likes him.
Yeah.
So anyways, bad injury for that young man.
And a couple more. We have multiple baseball insights on sixscore.com. Mike Trout is on 10-day IL, doc, with a bone bruise in his left knee. That's something. He's had knee issues. He's a meniscus tear. He's had a long history of injuries, and he continues to do so. And then Ohtani, there's a lot of questions about him. They said they're months away from him pitching. Does that fit what you saw, now and his injury in the past? Because they're just being safe with him, I guess, right? Everybody's waiting to see the two-way.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to rush him.
Right.
I mean, he's productive.
He's doing well hitting the ball, yeah.
I mean, would you say the Dodgers are overpaying him if he never pitches right now?
A little, but but like for statistically, he's the best at what he's doing. So you can, weigh it out.
I would argue they're tremendously underpaying.
Underpaying him? Okay.
Because his contract's all deferred.
That's true. They're not really, that's true. They're not really paying him. You're right. I just think it's interesting. They have such a litany of starting pitcher injuries. So it's like the question is like, are they going to rush him up a little bit? But there's no reason to, right?
I don't see them rushing Ohtani.
Yeah.
You're not rushing
investment, right?
That guy. I see Ohtani wanting to rush.
Yeah. Just by seeing all the injuries.
I think the Dodgers would put the brakes on anything.
Okay.
And say bigger picture.
Next one I have, Doc, just the NBA. We did say there's not that many injuries. We did the Cavaliers lost the first game against the Pacers. They haven't had their starting point guard, Darius Garland. He has a toe injury, and they're saying maybe like turf toe injury. It's been 3 games. He's a cutter, driver, one of their best point guards. I would say that's tough for him, right?
It's tough.
Yeah.
Tough. Even when he comes back, not as dynamic.
And then
certainly on the defensive side.
Yes.
And somewhat on the offensive side.
And you saw that. I think there's a couple other players that we had earlier that you always say, like the Currys and stuff, when they have ankle injuries, like it's not maybe going under his points. He's going to get his points, maybe, but it's about how they're going to defend their guy, right?
Many different aspects.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
We also had Jalen Brown. He's got a right knee impingement. Am I saying that right, Doug? Yes, thank you. Yeah, he's been playing through that. He's listed as questionable, but playoffs, we assume he plays through. And then we have a couple hockey injuries, Doc. I got one body part. The rest, they hide it from me, remember, because they do the upper body, lower body. Winnipeg Jets, they won double overtime yesterday. They had their number one center and their defender left with a upper body yesterday, so we'll monitor that at 6 score. And then Stars had their number one offensive player and defender, and they won in their game 7 too. So that's the kind of stuff too, like from a 6 score perspective, it's hard to just like bet against a team that's injured, right? Because sometimes these teams find a way.
Depends, especially the way hockey's a unique animal, right? And depending on how dependent they are on a guy. But, it's hockey teams go deep with multiple shifts, right? And
they can let him sit on the bench and sit for 10 minutes and limit him and still trust him, I guess.
It is a little different animal. And as I always said, hockey is harder to tell on injuries because A, the baggy clothes, B, so many injuries happen along the boards where you don't get a clear shot of what's happening. And the action's very fast. And then did the knee shift or did it not? You're under these baggy clothes.
The Ovechkin leg break, I remember you said it was hard to see the clear, fracture just because of how baggy his legs were, right?
He said he'd be back quick. And
he broke the record, right? Yeah, all that, yes. Last, just before we wrap up, 2 more things. We saw on Twitter that you, one of our personalities that we know, John Gruden, got to meet one of your friends that you've worked on before many times, Phil Rivers. How do you feel about that? We're going to see a QB camp from his son soon, maybe, Gunner.
My first impression was, oh my gosh, Gunner's huge.
Yeah, he looks pretty tall. He's almost taller than him. Yeah,
and I love the contrast. Oh, that ain't Gunner's kid in the picture. That's Philip's kid.
Yeah, that's good. That's funny.
I mean, he's still, and Gunner is not his oldest.
No.
Love Philip. Love Coach Gruden. I actually texted him. It's great. And Gruden says he's a great kid, and I don't doubt it. And Philip was the son of a coach, right? Football coach.
Yeah.
So Gunner's going to be smart, just like Dad was, and the whole deal. And at this point, I'll make this statement about him. First of all, my first thought was, Gunner was born right when I did Philip's ACL.
The Colts picture on your profile, that kind of
on my profile page.
Yeah, you have the Colts.
Not the header.
Yeah.
That's the last game in the RCA dome.
Yeah.
That's me walking off the field with Philip Rivers after he tore his ACL. Last game in the RCA dome that Billy Volek finished up and got us to the championship game, and Philip came back and played in the AFC championship game the next week. We were talking about doing the ACL surgery. We were holding it back because depending on the due date of Gunner. And then he called me and said, let's go right now. Originally, I said, let's do it on this date, Wednesday. He said, okay. He goes, no, let's push it back because that might be Tiffany's due date.
Okay.
So can we do it the next week? I said, sure. Then he called me and said, Tiffany just came from the doctor. Can we put it back on that Wednesday?
Yeah, there you go.
But the great thing about Philip is, I had forgotten this. He texts me all the time. Like he texted me 10 years from the anniversary of his ACL. And when we do talk, we absolutely link the birth of his ACL and the birth of Gunner, which is funny, which makes he old. Gunner's a big kid now.
Yeah.
But I will say this exciting statement. There's all this talk about Philip and sometimes coming out of retirement. At this point, if you have a prize picks type wager, more likely your first one to take an NFL snap, Gunner or Philip?
Take Gunner.
I'm taking Gunner.
Taking Gunner. Yep. I'll take Gunner too.
I'm taking Gunner at this point in time. It's a long-term wager, but I'm taking Gunner over Philip.
We're already at that point that he's just a call in December. There's gonna, after a couple of years, you get to a point that like I'm not on the call sheet anymore. Like I'm done.
It's a tough deal.
I have one more thing, Doc. Last one. So number 3 pick, we had a lot of injury information on Abdul Carter and his foot and his shoulder. There was a story that he asked Lawrence Taylor for his number, and a lot of people are giving him crap about it. And Lawrence Taylor even specifically said, he's like, you need to create your own story, your own legacy. Do you think that's something that should have been done? Or do you think, I just think it's like sometimes you're overconfident and stuff, I wouldn't have ever asked a Hall of Famer to wear his jersey.
Well, it depends. First of all, how did the story get out there, and what was the background of the story?
It was leaked by either Carter or Taylor. They both talked about the interaction, and then you're now seeing multiple people on podcasts. Even I think Steve Smith or some other players are just thinking like it's absolutely crazy to ask, someone that's been, same position and stuff,
It depends. I saw Abdul Carter was asking for
to wear Lawrence Taylor's number.
56.
Mm.
I thought he asked about 11, Phil Simms.
No, he asked Lawrence Taylor.
Oh,
And Lawrence Taylor said, you need to create your own legacy. He basically said, no, you can't have my number.
well, first of all, I hate to say it. Lawrence Taylor, just like any player, there's no law that says once your number is retired, you can't. Ownership can change their mind.
He asked Phil Simms and Taylor, by the way. Yeah.
Phil Simms.
Yep.
Yes.
He asked them both they both turned him down.
I heard Phil Simms say, I was for allowing it, but my family said no.
It's like the respecting office kind of thing that we talked about. I think it's just respecting that number, I don't
know.
Mm-hmm.
I would look at it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Does Lawrence Taylor own his number?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
The Giants could unretire it.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to the Giants and ownership to honor it. It's not technically, I get they're probably not going to go against Lawrence Taylor's wishes. I mean, look, we talked about Cinco 55. There have been a lot of 55s after Junior Seau at SC and, at other places.
Mm-hmm.
The Chargers, it's retired, but not everywhere. It's an individual decision of the team. Like, I look at it this way. If Abdul Carter said, well, I wore number 11. I know it's your number. With all due respect, the legacy number, and would you? I think that's respectful. I don't know. And if you ask Lawrence Taylor, I'd love to honor your number and wear it. Would you like that? And I think it's respectful for Lawrence Taylor said, nah, young buck,
you need to create your own story.
Your own story.
Yeah.
And get your own number retired. Right. And kind of thing. I don't make it.
It was Rob Gronkowski and Edelman. So they're on Edelman's podcast, and he asked Gronkowski specifically, what would Bill Belichick do if what would he tell Carter if he asked, for the 56? And, what would Belichick, would he shut him down or be like, that's crazy? I don't know. I just wanted to hear your take because, like, I'm seeing so much negative backlash. Like, your take is a little bit less. So I just want to, like,
I think it's an individual decision. Numbers, look, some guys change numbers. They don't care. Sometimes numbers are a big deal. I think as long as it's done respectfully. I mean, the fact that if a young buck player said, I want this number, is always my number, and asked the team or the training room or PR person to go call the player, I don't think that's respectful. But if you pick up the phone and call personally and make an ask, I think at least that's respectful.
The Giants did that last year. They unretired Ray Flaherty's number 1 so neighbors could wear it. But like there was some conversation and stuff behind the scenes that they make sure that he was able to do that. But like you said, the numbers aren't owned by the players. They can unretire him anytime and give neighbors one if he asks for it, right?
Ownership
so
can do what they want.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no law. Now they might get some PR flack for it. But I don't know. To me, I don't see anything wrong with what Abdul Carter did. And I don't see anything wrong with what Lawrence Taylor did.
Right.
I mean, they're respectful in their wishes and so forth. All right. Thank you. Sorry, a rambling one. We do have some guests coming up. I got next week's guest booked already.
There you go.
Eric Allen is going to be a guest coming up here soon. Antonio Gates. One I'm really, Kurt Schilling.
Yes.
One I'm looking forward
around
to.
July. Yeah.
Why? Because I think his bloody sock incident is on the Mount Rushmore.
We have a Mount Rushmore topic to do. Yes.
Of injuries. Another Netflix special that my son just saw involving the Red Sox comeback.
You watched that? Watch that one. Yeah, that was very good.
Gates, Eric Allen. Oh, I'm excited
Robert.
about Dr. Anderson.
Yes. Yeah.
Who's retiring from doing surgeries on NFL players, the preeminent foot specialist. But our guest tomorrow, I got text back just now, a sure. Mother's Day podcast. Sure.
Oh,
I told you.
Oh, sure. I must say the gear.
Hey, I call it one of the traditional Mother's Day gifts. My wife always has something to say.
Yes.
Fine. I'll give her the podcast spectrum next week. you might get more hot takes out of that than some of the guests. So we got next week, so I'll set up guests from then on. Thanks for listening to Football Doc Podcast, Sports Injury Central, and we'll see you soon.